I cherish those memories. I cherish what he taught me then, and I still cherish, what it's and, fast forward now years later, McDonald's is actually one of the largest,
Mm.
um, clients that we have here at Pod Digital Media. But no, he was, at times it was very frustrating. Again, this is also I moved to the States in January of 1997. I started working at McDonald's in June of 1997. So you can imagine that the language barrier and the language gap is still there. So, imagine going to McDonald's, you ordering a cheeseburger, but the person gives you a quarter pounder of cheese. So imagine the
Ooh.
frustration as a customer. Imagine the frustration as a customer, right? And if you already walked out of the store, you drove off and you're like, man, I have the wrong order and you have to come back. So I certainly have a few of those stories where I certainly got the order wrong, or I'd say, and I'll keep saying, "Hey, did you want a cheeseburger?" And they're like, "No, quarter pounder of cheese," because they couldn't understand me. But also, what I didn't know then and what I know now is that it actually helped. It put me on a fast track to learn English even faster,
I was just
simply
about to
because
ask that too,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It certainly helped me learn English much faster simply because the interaction with the customers, you're also dealing with different personalities. Some people are nice and some people are not so nice, right? So,
Mhm.
and also taught me about emotional intelligence. How do you react to
Yes,
when
that's for sure.
so it taught me so much then that I did not realize I was being cultivated. I was being molded in a certain way where I can now the way I respond to whether it's certain obstacles or certain challenges, it takes me back to those days of being at McDonald's and messing. When I'm messing, it taught me about accountability. Saying, "Hey, I'm sorry, I messed up your order," and being honest with my manager, saying, "Hey, I did not do this the right way. I did not take the order the right way," and also taught me to sort of really quickly pivot. Yesterday's loss is yesterday's loss. It is a whole new day. This is how you should go about it. So it's all of those things that like I was learning. So the job at McDonald's was so much more than just, hey, serving people burgers and showing up to work for a paycheck, but it was really teaching me about life.
Would you say it also made you a much more resilient person? Because you have to
Absolutely.
have a very thick skin to work in fast food.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Right. And then also people are literally saying, "Hey, you don't speak English. Why are you taking my order? Bring somebody else who that speaks English,"
Ooh,
right?
that
And then
hurts.
you have to take that as a 16-year-old to take that hit and be able to say, you know, take a moment, process the emotions, and then let it go and move on to the next customer. So, and then now that we, throughout my career where I've ended up in sales roles, I've been able to apply those learnings from earlier on to those different jobs.
Was there a certain point when you were working at McDonald's where you realized your English was really coming around? Like a moment where you're like, "Wait a minute, I'm not confusing cheeseburger with quarter pounder with cheese anymore.
With
I don't have people saying, 'Get me the guy who can speak English to take my
right.
order.'" Was there a moment where you're like, "Oh, this is really working out for me?"
Without a doubt, without a doubt. What he also taught me, I could see the progress, and I can also gauge yeah. I use that as a barometer for my confidence level, right? Because once I actually started to really understand the menu, figure out the menu, also understand what different people were looking for, different things that they wanted, and I was able to articulate it back to them. And so that's certainly the confidence level, the comfort level grew, and that made me a much better person, without a doubt.
I just realized you probably worked the drive-through as well, right?
I
Oh
did. I
god, so
messed up.
trying to understand what people are telling you in what is a foreign language over that really poor headset, that must be
Yeah.
frustrating as heck.
But to be honest with you, the day they handed me that headset, I could see it right now was probably one of the coolest days of my life. Because I'm like, what is this? I get to have the headset. I'm talking to someone that's not in front of me. It was again, think about the technology back then, and it's
That's very true, yeah.
1997, and you're coming from a third world country where you've never seen a McDonald's before, and then now you're seeing it, and now you're working in this well-known restaurant, and you're the guy running the drive-through, right? So yeah, it was certainly certainly a cool moment for sure. But again, it was certainly again frustrating because I can't hear them, yet I have to articulate it, put the order in, and then that come up say, no, that's not what I ordered. And then imagine like when it's lunchtime, and then you have cars going around the block. So it was certainly frustrating, but again, survived it and certainly learned a lot from it.